everybody. Welcome to the Genre of Your Life podcast, a show all about movies, TV, and what we love in entertainment. I am one of your hosts, Doug Jones. With me, as always, is my main man of 20 plus years and one of the best co-hosts ever, Mr. Joel Kindleman. How are you, sir?
I am good, sir. I am good. Life is not whooping my ass as badly. But yeah, I'm feeling better now, and we're doing good. I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here. And this episode is just the two of us. The OGs, man.
Hey.
The
Yes.
best friends since childhood, man.
20 years, man. 20 years, and the two guys that were always at the movies in high school, middle school. If you wanted to find us, either at Rosati's, McDonald's, or the movies. That was us.
Facts. No, here's the thing. We did a few times, right? So we would go to McDonald's, the hospital one, because they loved us, and they also their McDonald's was good. The employees were great, never drama there, and plus they sometimes gave us a little extra something. You know what I'm saying? Some little extra to our meals, because we were basically regulars. We would go to movies, and sometimes because we did watch two movies, we would then go Rosati and call it a day.
Man. The double feature days, man. I kind of missed that before the theaters were doing the assigned seating. We'd be like, "Want to see another movie? Yeah, might as well." Boop, we walk right into another theater. They didn't really cared. So I miss kind of those days of the movie hopping or the double feature day where we just another theater. Yeah, because there was no assigned seating. There was no kind of "Oh, you're in my seat." Now it's kind of impossible too, because everyone has assigned seating and Fandango, and everyone has their own booking fees. So it's what. Those days are sadly over, but those are some good times just doing the double feature movie hopping that my dad actually taught me that as a kid. My mom to this day, she was like, I don't like when you guys do that, I'm like, Mom, you did it with us before too. We all movie hop. She goes, yeah, but it doesn't make it right.
Yeah, my parents, we did that shit too. My parents taught me. I don't know when we did it, but we did it a few times. I was fucking, that's a normal thing.
There's a great line from Mike and Dave New Wedding Dates. He goes, one time went to the movies, saw a movie after, didn't pay for it until after the movie. I'm like, that kind of defeats the purpose then of seeing new movies in one. Oh my god. But welcome everybody. This is episode number 24, the Kobe number, as well as the Brian Jones number of episodes. I'm glad you all are here. As always, guys, you can find the show on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music. We have a full audio version of a show on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions. While you're there, hit that follow, subscribe button, leave a review, leave a rating, leave a comment. Helps us out so much. As always, guys, thank you so much for your support, and happy August to you all. We are starting the new month. Hope you're staying cool out there. It's been a hot summer wherever you are, so we are glad you're here, as well as, next week, Nick and I will be at the screening for Strays, which is, I believe, Wednesday, August 9th here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Say hi to us. We'll be there. We'll be looking forward to seeing this movie as much as you guys did. Hope you got some passes for these great screenings. Thanks to our friends at Ally Global. Wrong one. Frost Communications, who I just love. I love Lee. I love Allison. They've been really great with us. So hope to give you guys more screenings this summer as well. Again, so thank you again to our friends at Frost Communications for always the continued support and the support of the show. Alrighty, before we get into our review tonight for TMNT, Mutant Mayhem, Joe, happy 16 years of the movie Hot Rod, one of our favorite movies of all time.
Oh, yes, man. One of the many movies that we do fucking, repeat.
With that, on a daily.
Quote all the time, man. You know what I'm saying? Just why are you saying it like that? Saying what? Saying that? Saying what? What way? You're talking weird. Where do you get off? Fucking
just forget it. I will forget it.
I will forget it. And also, don't forget a little bit after that. Just I've been drinking green tea all goddamn day. Yeah. I go to church on every
damn Sunday.
You bringing the demons out of me.
This is my hat now. This is my hat.
Oh, man.
It's a shame that movie. It's in that movie kind of Again, I feel both. I mean, both the Lonely Island guy, all three of them, both that movie and Popstar are kind of just like beloved cult classics. But like both audiences not show up for that movie at all, and it breaks our hearts because those are really two funny movies. If you know their humor very well, they're like hilarious. But 16 Years, man, that movie. I feel that movie has a really good cult following. Like I'll see it all the time on like TikTok or YouTube or Twitter. I'm like, yeah, like look at this, da da da, like yeah, all the certain quotes or the whiskey or our favorite quote or yeah or that stuff like that, or the dancing scene they do in the parking lot. It's a very, very, very funny movie that you can watch if you have Showtime or Paramount Plus. You can watch it on there. Yeah, man, you and I in high school, middle school, in our adulthood, we still quote that movie every day. It's a very special movie to us to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's prime Andy Samberg. It's Danny McBride's in it too. You got Bill Hader, Isla Fisher, Will Arnett, Ian McShane, who is a legendary actor, plays his stepdad. It's just really great. It's a really great, just overall, it's a really funny movie that you can laugh at. I think it's aged very well. It's a very timeless movie you can watch over and over again and still laugh at it. It's kind of like again the prime era of Andy Samberg and SNL with his Lonely Island guys, Yorma and Akiva. Yeah, man, those are just movie that we love so much. And 16 years, man, the movie's still staying strong 16 years later, and I'm glad hopefully more people can experience it and discover it because it's a really funny movie as well as Pop Star too.
Yeah.
Great, I love the movie so much. But yes,
And
Happy
they've
16.
all done like they've all went on to do like really big things,
Yeah,
like movie
true.
wise. Even though like of course we've known them from, before that movie, but like to see them continuously do even more things after that, which is, makes you really happy. Especially like what was his name again? The one who played the dad, the stepdad?
Oh yeah, Ian McShane who played Winston.
Ian
No, no,
makes
was it Winston? No, who's he play? No, yeah, Winston in John Wick movies.
Yeah, and he also he did the amazing show American Gods, which I love.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
he plays
Deadwood.
yes. Yeah, it's so good.
He's a good actor. It's
So
so
good.
funny to this day. I think I saw an interview with on Seth MacFarlane maybe like a year or two ago, and he asked, he goes, you have an iconic filmography. Like, what do you get quote the most? And he goes, Deadwood. He goes, he has a very thick British accent too. He goes, the one that I would get yelled at all the time is Hot Rod. And everyone starts laughing in the audience. People are clapping. He goes, I don't know what that is, but I'll be in the streets of New York or wherever I am, and someone goes, "Yeah, Hot Rod," or "Real men grow mustaches," whatever the line.
I was thinking that.
Or,
Roman
you
can
know, I have a
grow
hormone
mustaches.
disorder. It's so funny, and it's so quotable to this day. And yeah, again, great cast with Bill Hader, Danny McBride, Sissy Spacek, Will Arnett. Let's go. Chris Parnell is hilarious. Let's goes on and on, man. It's a very, very, very funny movie that kind of went under the radar, but I hope people more discover it because it's a really timeless classic. So yes, happy 16-year anniversary to the movie Hot Rod that me and Joel both love. Oh, great movie.
Yes.
Oh man, so yes, hitting theaters this week, guys. It's the end of August. Me and Joe talked about this before the show started. It's kind of the end of the summer, and not too much is coming out. I mean, due to the strikes, ongoing strikes as well. There was word about I think the WGA was meeting some of the studios this weekend. I mean, this Friday. I want to hear. I think it's the first time they're going to meet since the strike started. So I could be wrong. It could be for both guilds, but I think it's just the writers first. I could be wrong, but from what I've heard is that they're going to be meeting with the studio heads tomorrow and like the AMTP, whatever they're meeting with. So, best of luck, hoping things get solved out soon, because I think once we get out of summer, it's going to be a very slow few months of movies. I mean, I feel like if things don't move, we still got Equalizer 3, we still got Doom 2, we still got Exorcist and a few other movies as well, but it's going to be probably nothing for quite a while. And things are still paused in production.
Which I think is fine. I think it's a good thing that we had that pause because I
Yeah,
feel like the industry has been pushing out so much shit,
yeah,
you know, that a lot of it is shit or just
yeah,
something people really don't care for. So
yeah,
hopefully with this time and break if we do have that time of, nothing, like creativity will flow back and it won't just be for money grabs because like the industry has lost that passion and has lost that creativity and just like it'll make money, you know. I feel like, and we get a lot of things where people are just like, yeah, they'll spend the fucking money on it.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. I think this is a good. I think this is a good like. As much as we talk about how bad reboots and remakes are, I think this is a good reboot for the entire industry because I agree. I think COVID especially, but I think a year or two ago, I think we've been seeing more quantity than quality. I do think, before COVID, before all every streaming service imaginable, I feel like, ooh, we get some really good quality stuff. Like, oh, this is great. This show's really good. This movie's really good. And now I feel like it's been more about, okay, let's push out as much as we can because we can get the money at it. And I'm like, yeah, you could do that. But again, like you said too, Joe, you're gonna be hurting on the quality of certain stuff as well as kind of like the quality of certain IPs and certain, stories, certain stories and development, certain shows. Because again, as we all know, when the last strike happened 10 years ago, whatever, no, maybe more than 10, 09, 08, 08, 09, a lot of things, big IPs suffered a lot of quality issues because this is like, it was kind of rushed out. And I do feel like, we live in an era now where like, you know what, let's just focus more on quality than quantity and what was gave out some really good content to our viewers, both streaming, both in theatrical, because as what we want to have. Again, the box office showing this too, with the Flash and Indiana Jones and Transformers and a few other movies too. The quantity is not working. It's the quality of these things. I'm like, yeah, spend more time. Don't rush your VFX artists. Don't rush your production. Don't rush these certain things because when you rush it, you get something really shitty coming out. You're like, oh, this could have been way better. And so I felt about The Flash at times. So I felt about Indiana Jones at times. And, I do think that this summer was like, oh, it's going to be a summer of movies. Some movies are back. And personally, I feel like a lot of things were big disappointments and big flops. And I'm kind of hoping that, take a page out of A24 or the smaller budget movies that, Paramount was doing or, Barbarian movie like a small, focus more on the the quality of stuff because, what audiences will respond to quality. We're bombarded by stuff, by so much content nowadays on so many different platforms. It's important to choose wisely what we're going to spend your time on, as well as kind of like, hey, investing my time on too. So I want to invest in things that I actually care about. And you and I have seen almost everything, and you and I definitely are good at like, hey, that wasn't, that could have been better, or this could have been better too if they just slow down a little bit. But again, you and I are not shy of saying that was some boo boo ass quality. We've seen so many things of like, oh man, that could have used more time in the oven or more time just to like develop. Like, it was just rushed. So,
Yeah, and I feel like our fans, our listeners, I don't want to say fans, I want to say listeners. Our listeners and our followers, they feel that same way because they're here every week and they listen to us, and I feel like there is a number of them that does agree with like how we've been viewing these movies because me and you have had these conversations. I'm not going to say names of specific people, but I am going to say that being a movie lover has become a trend.
yes.
And for all the wrong reasons. And what that is money. So a lot of these people who are reviewing movies give no shit about the movie,
No.
especially when they're getting paid from these production companies.
Mhm.
And they'll watch the movie and they'll be like, it was good, it was amazing, like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, giving them bullshit, numbers and not being real about it because at the end of the day, they got paid and they get to live this, pretty nice, digital life because of it. And, but in all reality, like me and you, Nick, Moses, we watch these movies because we, from a young age, have loved movies. We grew up on it. Me and you at the movie theaters, or like there was times where me and you didn't go to movie theaters for months, bro, months, because nothing came out, and we would find movies to watch at home, like DVD or like on demand when that was a thing, living in a building and everything. But we'd find older movies and we would love them and we would talk about it. And like we started this because we wanted it to be real. We wanted people to have our honest opinion and our honest reaction, and not just say good things just because we're trying to make an impression or try and get
Oh
money.
yeah.
We want people to understand, like, we love we love movies. We love everything about it. Actors, the writing, production, the crew, like everything. So we say what we really feel, and we give them an unbiased, rating and review. And we say the true things about, like, this movie could have been better, or this movie was really not it. It was really bad. And I feel like our listeners do agree with us, is that the industry has lost its creativity, because not only have we been sticking to certain forms of movies, but we've also been copying and pasting a lot. You know what I mean? Where, like, a lot of movies don't have their own identity.
Oh yeah.
And yeah. And the ones that truly do, they go unnoticed because they didn't have the same funds as these giant movies that spend a lot of money, but also spend a lot of money on promotions. You
Yeah,
know what I
marketing
mean?
stuff.
Like the teen, Michael Bay's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles second movie, that was all over YouTube. Like, YouTubers were getting paid to promote it, other people were getting paid to promote it, and that movie was shit. That movie was shit, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but so hopefully this break, like when me and you didn't go to movie theaters, this break will truly give it time to revitalize, and have people open up the eyes and be like, all right, and maybe even like inspired these writers to write such amazing things and stand
Oh
up for
yeah.
themselves, to be like, like, I have an idea, from besides from what, the production wants, what they think audience wants. Like, they make something creative. And so I'm praying that, this break will do that. We'll give them that, everything that they need.
I hope so too, man. Well said. Really well said. I truly think that, yeah, it's stepping back and reevaluating, I think, is very the key to like good storytelling and kind of just finding that creativity again. It's, you're right, it's a copy and paste thing. I think we've seen. I mean, we had a whole episode a few months ago, you and I did, about reboots. Like, oh my god, another reboot of this, reboot of that. It's like, oh my god. So
It's
yeah,
not even just a reboot either. It's a
similar
writing,
storyline. Yeah,
similar storyline, or like characters, or like, where you want to go see this movie and it's like tantalizing, and then, like, there's no diversity between characters.
that's it. Yes,
Every character has a witty comeback, and it's just like, okay, well, this is sort of like a serious thing at this moment. I don't want to have this be a laughing moment. You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Where you're watching this very serious movie in theaters, and then this is a very serious scene, and then they're cracking just nonstop wisp between each other, and you're just like, this lost all its
Yeah.
genuineness in it. So, like, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I'm kind of feeling. I know you checked out before I did, but like I'm really checking out of Marvel right now. I mean, it's good. This could be another discussion for another episode. But real quick, is that just like, I just haven't cared anymore. I mean, I'll watch Spider-Man, I'll watch Black Panther, and I think that's kind of about it. Guardians is done now, so I'm kind of just like, you know what? I'll watch Spidey, because Spidey's my boy, and I'll watch It's Off the Spider-Verse, because it's very unique. You can tell a lot of effort and love went to those movies. But it's just, yeah, I'm kind of checked out. I'm kind of checked out on certain things. I want, again, you and I have always been, we gotta support original movies, and even if they're shit, original movie was still made, and we can still respect that for that. Quality might have been, but
Right.
still original movie. And I like the past weekend, a few weeks ago, Comic-Con happened, and they had a director's panel because the DGA their strike didn't happen because they got what they wanted. They came to terms of like good agreement. So they had these three directors on, and one of them was Gareth Edwards. If you know him, he did stuff like Rogue One, the Godzilla remix. Funny enough, and he's making a movie that I think I tagged you in a few weeks ago. It's with John David Washington, Denzel's son. It's called The Crater. It's this big sci-fi epic spectacle movie. Again, all original, and I'm like, ooh, okay, I like this. It looks really like it looks kind of like Star Wars-y, but like not too much of it. It's a very its own movie, and I was like, this looks awesome. And again, 20th Century Studios and on Disney gave him a really. To be fair, we give a lot of shit to Disney all the time, but they gave him, and this is free will. This is your movie. Give you a big budget. Go at it. And I'm like, you know what? I respect it. I respect that.
They finally listened to me.
Finally listen. Yeah, right. They finally, after 24 episodes, Joe, they're like, finally, we understand.
We'll shut him the fuck up.
As long as it's good, then we'd be like, you followed through. And if it doesn't get pushed back because of the strike, it's coming out.
We haven't heard about anyone stepping in. It sounds like everything's running along, so it's good.
And this is a big budget sci-fi epic movie with a great star with John David Washington, who I love, who was a star of Tenet. He was a star of BlacKkKlansman. He's in Ballers. Again, he's the son of Denzel, but he's a phenomenal actor. And I really do like that. Hey, they gave him the funds. And they gave him the IMAX filmmaking too, which is really cool. But it's really cool that this is gonna be a big spectacle. I mean, if it doesn't get moved, I can't wait for it comes in September. If it gets moved, it's for the better. I've been trying to avoid more trailers too. I want to go in blind as possible for an original movie.
But he was saying any trailers.
Good. Avoid. Good. Go in blind. Because it looks from what I saw the teaser, it looks phenomenal, dude. It looks really remarkable. And I'm really hoping they follow through. It's gonna be really special. But he was asked the other day, someone's at the panel at Comic-Con. They said, how do you support original movies is very important. How do you get them made? And he said plain simple, goes, we have to support original movies and IP. Yes. There was a small applause, and I was like, this is like kind of a small applause. I'll send you the video after the show. It was kind of a small applause, and I was like, yeah, no one. We really gotta do. I mean, yes, we saw some. I think original horror has been doing great recently, which is awesome, and I'm really hoping that this movie does well, and if it's good, that'd be a double bonus. Awesome. But he's right. We had to support original movies. Again, you might not be good. It could be like, it wasn't for me. But I always say on our reviews, our reactions too, it's original. I'll give it that. I always give that benefit of the doubt. It's original. They went for it. I'll give it that. And I think, audiences to me, there's a lot of movies like The Nice Guys. Everybody wants them. I mean, this goes on and on. That we love that. Again, no one saw it, and it breaks my heart because I'm like, this would have been great. This would have been a great, big movie. But he did say though, we had to support original filmmaking, original storytelling, and I was kind of surprised at the lack of applause. I was like, really?
Well, that also shows like the issue within, why we have not been getting original movies. It's not only production, it's also the audience that they've been, servicing to. You know what I mean? We're at this point where everyone is so used to, YouTube and this and that, and also just like not giving a fuck about movies. Like, I feel like true movie fans, and I'm not going to say, like, these are certain requirements you have to make to be true movie fans, but I mean, like, people who genuinely love movies, you know what I mean? Whether, and we all have our own niches. Like, some people truly do only love shit movies, you know what I mean? Like The Room, or whatever the fuck it was called, the fucking... the disaster artist.
The Room. The Room.
The Room. There's people who love movies like that. There's people like us who love like original movies. There's people who love horror, But the thing that I feel like all true movie fans can truly agree on is that, is that the audience of the audience has, for movies has diminished it through time, like, because people stop giving a fuck about movies, you know what I mean? And I feel like the quantity of movies that we have witnessed since probably what 2014, 2015, because there's been a lot of movies since then. I feel like people have become numb to it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like if someone is, if like one of your friends, which me and you have personally experienced, it's fucking annoying. You know who I'm talking about. Says one joke again and again and again and again for many years. You know, where it's like you become numb to it. You know, and
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of general people of who went to movies has become numb
Yeah.
to anything movies. Like a lot of people I feel like nowadays put on movies just to like tune it out, background noise, or just like you know just just dissociate, just
Yeah.
watch it, dissociate, doesn't give a shit, So I felt
Yeah.
like so I felt like right now, if we can get original movies and we can slow down the number of movies, you know,
Yeah.
I feel like we can bring people back to it. It's the same thing with like how more and more people don't give a fuck about superhero movies because we've
Yeah.
been having it out the ass.
Yeah. And we're still, yeah, because it's been, we're bombarded by that. We're bombarded by it all the time. And it's just like it's not special anymore. It used to be like, oh, this used to be event movies. Now it's kind of like another one, another one. So yeah, I do. You know, I've said this before, both in person and on the show. I do think maybe post strike too. We should realize too. I think studios and companies should do this too. Support your original movies. They'll be like, oh, it didn't work. No, so you should definitely support your original movies. Market it. And there's so many times a certain company that you and I both have said multiple times, a certain company that you feel, a company that you feel certain about, they do not promote original stuff. And Barbarian is one of them. I was very close. I love Barbarian. The
But
marketing to that was
also that they don't, and not only them, but other
oh
studios,
yeah, huge. All of them do.
they've they've all like before he even can even show the fruit of its labor, like in the midst of making them, they have such lack of faith in directors, writers,
Oh yeah,
actors, and production, where it's like, all right, get fired this director, add someone new. Oh, like we're gonna hire some guy who like, oh, to edit the movie, we're gonna hire this guy who should never fucking touch a movie with a fucking
yeah.
30-foot
S-
yard pole. You know what I mean?
Suicide Squad, man, they fucked David Ayer over. Multiple, they hired a YouTube editor to redo the movie. A YouTube editor,
Yeah,
not even a full director
YouTube
or movie
editor.
editor. YouTube editor. They fucked him
You
up. They fucked that.
know?
I still love that movie for what it is, but people really, but again, they took away a man's vision and said, "Ooh, this isn't Guardians of the Galaxy. Ooh, this isn't Deadpool. Let's redo it because BVS
Yeah,
failed."
where it's like, dude, like you can't this you because it's one project failed, you can't you can't start doubting these other creators, because the good thing about it is that with movies, even if it's under the same name as DC, Marvel, whatever, a lot of them have different directors, different writers, like even if they're the same actors, like you can make a
Yeah,
good movie and a shit movie with the same group of people, but with like if there's different just creative minds put into it, there's gonna be a different view of it. It's gonna be a whole different movie. So like if you take your faith away from it and you're just like, nah, fuck you, we're gonna bring someone else on, like you're really only fucking up the movie and your own like money with it too, because like
yeah,
there's so many times where so many directors have been fired and then someone else has come along to one continue their vision but also change the shape of it with the writing or the way the movie is going to play out, and like you lost more money than you would have made. And Justice League shows it, you know what I mean, where uh where we saw, the movie version, the movie theater version, theatrical version, um came out and people were like, "Oh, that wasn't really good. Like that's very disappointing." And then they showed Zack Snyder shit, and everyone fucking loved it. So like, that shows like if you just keep the faith that you had in these people when you first decided to like, yeah, let's do this movie, then a lot of these movies won't come out as shit. They'll probably do really well, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I give, he had, I mean, I do think Knock at the Cabin was a great movie, but M. Night Shyamalan was like he was a studio director for so long. And like he was doing all these, he had a lot of stuff, good stuff at first, whether it was Unbreakable, Sixth Sense, The Village, Signs.
Really good movies.
And then he started doing movies that were like, what's going on here? And then he made Avatar: Last Airbender. I love M. Night. I love you, M. Night. But we were like, bro, what? It's a no. It's not it, Chief. Like, this is a no.
He deformed, dude. I swear to God, it looked like Appa got into the same fucking mutant shit that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles got into, and it fucked him up. Like on God, he got into the ooze, and he got way super deformed. Like I don't know what the fuck that was, but that was an Appa. How fucking dare you? But they're remaking the movie with an all Asian cast, and it looked pretty. Yeah, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, back to M. Night. Yeah, that was a bad movie.
He did that, and he did that. He did a few other stuff too that were just like, bro, what are you doing? And it wasn't until he partnered with Blumhouse to do The Visit, and he goes, you know what? I'm gonna finance my own movies because you know why? If it don't work, I can't blame studio interference. And I'm like, hey man, that's bold. I respect that. You know what? You're going to finance your own movies. You're going to do this. And I don't know. I thought he financed The Visit by himself, or was it Split? I think it was Split. So whatever he made off of The Visit.
Split.
It was Split. He for Split, he goes, I'm going to finance this entire movie on my own. I don't care what people say. This is my movie. I'm putting up the end. I'm like, hey man, it's very admirable about you. I think a lot of filmmakers do that too if you had the funds for it, and he did. And guess what? Split made quadrupled the budget of that movie opening weekend, and it made so much money worldwide, like a $3 million budget movie. And guess what? He goes, cool, I can do this now. I think Glass was co-financed with someone else, but I believe stuff like Old and Knock at the Cabin, his next movie too. He goes, listen, I've been there before with the studios. I prefer to finance my own movies because I have total control. I'm like, hey, again, man, you can do it. Go for it because you have really you made a name for yourself and you can put up the funds yourself. Why go for it? Why not? So I think it's very cool that hey, they might all be winners, but at least he goes, hey, listen, this is my movie, so if you don't like it, it's on me. Simple as that. So I'm like, hey, respect. So I do think it's when you see filmmakers do that, it's what, it's on me because you're right, Joe. When you see stuff a lot in the big studios and the big production companies. You're not really working for a team. You're kind of a hired hand at times, and again, if one thing doesn't work out, you're gone. So you gotta be careful sometimes. Or you have really good, a good body of work, but you could have one movie like, oops, it didn't work for me. And then your movie Jill, like Neil Blomkamp, who did Chappie. He was 2 for 2 with Elysium and District 9. Chappie came out, cost studio a lot of money, and he has not made a movie since. And except for when Gran Turismo comes out in a few weeks. But this is his first movie in 8 years because Chappie came out and cost Sony a lot of money, and he was like, everyone said, nope, we're done. Like he had an Alien project he was gonna do, nope. And then I tried to get pitched, nope. He lost everything, and that sucks. But that's the business too. You win some, you lose some. But you're right. It could be all gone just like that. So you gotta just I do think you gotta trust your creators, trust your vision, trust your filmmakers. Hire them for a reason. Go along with it. Yes, you can have notes. Yes, you can hey, change this instead, but don't make it too like a big change of like, yeah, the character has wings now. Like this is a story about biker gangs, whatever. Yeah, he has wings now. It makes no sense. So you definitely gotta have faith in why you hire them for a reason. Let them cook. So I'm really hoping that this movie, The Creator, does well and it's really good too. That hey, listen. It worked, a studio original movie really worked. I have faith in Gareth Edwards, and I do have faith in John David Washington. So, fingers crossed, it turns out really good. But anyway, on to the movie of the week. As we all probably know, this week is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem release came out, I believe, on yesterday, actually. I went to an early screening of it on Saturday. And you probably don't know this, but me and Joel are two of the biggest Ninja Turtle fans. We grew up on these movies, on the cartoons, especially the original cartoon and the original two movies.
The original live
Original
action
cartoon and
movies.
live action
Dude,
movie.
I
Like,
grew up VHS, my guy.
yes, sir. Dude,
We
Secret
are
of the Ooze.
not
Yep.
too young, and we also, you know what I'm saying, we grew up with VHS.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, we didn't have DVD players at first. Eventually, we got DVD players, but that was when, like, middle school. That was
Yeah.
middle school time. But VHS, Mutant Ninja Turtles, put that shit on repeat, my
Repeat,
guy.
man.
Like, oh my god. And me, you talked about that movie. We talk about those movies every year, multiple times.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're giant TMNT fans.
Huge, dude. Huge Ninja Turtle fans. And again, right, the original two, the 1990 version, 1992 sequel, Secret of the Ooze, the one with, one with Vanilla Ice, Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. It hits, man. It slaps till this day, man. It's still a bop. Those two movies are very special. And you and I both agree, too. You know, if you have they also rebooted again in 2007 with the all animation 2007 version. And Joe and I, you and I both said like that was a pretty fire movie too. That was a really good animated movie, a great storyline for the turtles. And we both like those. We both like the '07 animation movie. Of course, that movie came and also flopped pretty hard, unfortunately. But it was really cool animation at the time. It wasn't Disney, it wasn't Pixar, it wasn't DreamWorks, it wasn't Blue Sky, it was or Aardman. It was its own animation. It was a Magi, who I think went bankrupt after that movie came out, unfortunately. So yikes. But yeah, we both like the 2007 animated one as well. Great soundtrack too. Really cool storylines, great voice acting as well. So and then, yeah, then 2014 happened when Michael Bay. No, before that, Michael Bay announced he's producing one, and you and I were like, oh no. We were like, yeah, we're Michael Bay fans. We like Pain and Gain, we like Bad Boys, we like a few of the Transformers movies, but we were like, oh, he's producing this one. And then he announced, yeah, they're gonna be aliens. And you and I were at school. We were like, oh hell no. You and I were like, nope, we're out. And he goes, yeah, they're gonna be aliens. We're gonna have like alien substances, whatever. And you and I were like, oh no, this is getting worse and worse. It's by hearing every new announcement. And we are like, oh no. And it was like, yeah, it's going to be this and that, blah, blah, blah. They're going to have like certain like alien abilities. And we are like, please stop. Just stop. So yes, 2014 came out, and the first one did pretty well, actually, despite its pretty negative response and critical rating. It made a lot of money. And Paramount goes, cool, we're another one, let's do it. And then, like I said early in the show, second one came out. They hired all of these, Instagrammers and social media and YouTube stars to promote that movie. And like you said, that second one is awful. It is dog shit. It is garbage. It is awful. They ruined Bebop and Rocksteady. They ruined Casey Jones. Everyone is miscast. I love Tyler Perry, but what the fuck is he doing as Baxter Stockman? And that he just playing this kind of very kind of weird, like almost Eddie Murphy kind of character. You're like, bro, this is so miscast and this is terrible writing. And you're just like, what's going on here? And then that one did so poorly that they were like, yep, we're done. We had a trilogy planned, not happening anymore. And I'm like, yeah, y'all need to take a break on that because that was garbage. And I know you and I kind of have different opinions on the first live action remake that Michael Bay produced. Yes, it's not the best movie, it's not at all. But there's some parts I do like about it. I think the voice acting, and I do think the mocap work is very impressive. But no, you both had a problem with the Shredder being a fucking robot, basically, and I don't know, Will Arnett is very miscast as the camera guy.
I did not like Michael Bay's
No, yeah.
TMNT at all. Fucking, oh, dude, because it screamed, right? It screamed Transformers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And, I know everyone has their style, but that was way too similar to Transformers. It didn't help that Megan Fox is there.
Yeah, she wasn't terrible. She was miscast.
I'm not saying she was miscast. I'm not saying she was a bad actor. It's just like, both, really?
Yeah.
Bringing her back for this? But also like the turtles were giant. At first, their faces were very deformed. I know they changed it because the original face was, yeah. because people are like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah, we're like, that's Shrek.
Right? Yeah, we saw and then they changed it when they, fire protection. But overall, just the story wasn't good. I didn't, no offense to the actors who did who
Mocap
did the
work.
Ninja Turtles. I
Yeah.
think it was just writing and the animation. Like I felt like plus the turtles were too big. We're so used to the turtles being human sized.
Yeah.
Like we didn't need them fucking being 8 foot tall
They're all
motherfuckers.
Shaq. They're all Shaq size. They're all like taller than
Dude,
Shaq.
for real, we get it, they're mutants, but here's the thing, turtles are small. Like having human-sized turtles is good enough,
Yeah.
and like being able to survive a fall from a gigantic, skyscraper.
Yeah.
It was just way too much elements of Transformers, and it was just too much.
It was too much. Yeah. There. Yeah. No. I know we're very similar on that one, but there's parts I do like about it. But
Right.
it was not.
Surprised we didn't see Christian Bale make a
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
cameo.
Right. Can you
Because,
imagine?
if you guys don't understand, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Batman are within the same universe. They have met. There are comics,
The games too. A movie. There's an
games.
animated movie as well.
Yeah, animated movie, and also Mortal Kombat with Teenage
Yeah.
Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going in this movie skeptical. I thought the animation looked really cool. And I remember a few years ago, I think during COVID, it was like Seth Rogen was going to be producing and writing a Ninja Turtle movie. I was like, don't know about this because the last animated movie he did was Sausage Party. And we're like, we'll see. But like, oh, it's going to be animated, it's going to be live action, it's going to be different. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, this was like 4 or 5 years after the last Michael Bay one. So I'm like, I guess it's been 4 or 5 years. I guess they can redo it because they can. But I know Seth Rogen and his team at Point Grey are like, we're going to reinvent the Ninja Turtles. I was like, ooh, and I was like, let's see about that. It was like in production for a long time. They had a lot of huge voice acting, like Paul Rudd, Ice Cube, Jackie Chan, John Cena, Rose Byrne. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a huge voice cast, and I was like, oh, okay. And then the trailer came out, like, oh, this looks pretty cool. I can get down with this. It's kind of like the Spider-Verse stop motion bit animation, comic book animation. I'm like, all right, it's cool. I guess they're adopting that animation style. So yes, I went to the early screening of it on Saturday. Going in, I was like, please be good, please be good, please be good. I'll tell you what. This one, yes, it's the third film reboot since the original ones that you and I both love. It's not connected to any of the Nickelodeon cartoons or the last few movies. It's its own movie. It's reinventing and rebooting the entire franchise again. Yes, again. And I'll tell you what, starting off with the good. So this one's about basically them trying to find themselves. They're actually played by teenagers this time around. They're not played by 40, 30-year-old men or grown-ass adults. They are being played by actual teenagers that they were casted very well. All 4 of them were. So it is cool seeing, they are very younger. They're actual teenagers this time around. That I liked about it a lot. But it's stories about them kind of like finding their own, what does it mean to be a turtle? What does it mean to be a teenager? Like, why can't the world accept for us who we are? We're heroes. We do a lot good for society, but Master Splinter doesn't want us to go in the human world. He wants us to kind of wait till we're ready. And then all of a sudden, there's been a big crime syndicate going on in New York City, led by a person named Superfly, and they're hearing word about this, and they find out that there is a lot of mutants as well that accept them for who they are, and this is great. They found that people like themselves. But then they realize that the other mutants have plans to destroy the world or to get rid of everyone, have just mutants only. And it's up for the turtles to kind of like save the day and bring down their fellow mutants, even though it's kind of like their own family because they all come from the same ooze. So, starting off with the good. Like I said, the animation to me is phenomenal. It's very similar to Spider-Verse, but at the same time, it's its very own animation, which is really cool. A lot of inspired stuff from Spider-Verse and that kind of animation, but it definitely has its own voice, what I like about it. Great voice acting through and through. I think everyone kills it. All 4 kids who are casted as Raph, Donnie, Leo, and Mikey are casted perfectly. Ice Cube as Superfly is having the time of his life, man. He should do more voice work because he's great at it. We both love Ice Cube. He's having the time of his life doing voice acting. And Jackie Chan Splinter was very good casting too, because you can tell he's having fun as well. People are kind of like, oh, he's kind of like you bring off like a script, and I'm like, yeah, he is, but you can tell he's having fun with it as well. He's a really good Master Splinter. It is definitely a reboot for the new generation. It's definitely, if you're a Ninja Turtle fan, like how me and Joel are, you will definitely enjoy it. But it for sure is a way to introduce the Turtles again to a new generation of fans, stuff like that. At a screening I went to, it was mostly kids and families, so everyone was laughing, having a good time. So I think it definitely worked on that level of like, hey, this is a new generation of Turtle fans. They probably didn't seen the original movies or the 2007 animated movie or the Michael Bay movie, so they're trying to reintroduce the franchise to a new audience. Again, great score. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who did stuff like The Social Network, a lot of David Fincher movies. I think the score for Soul as well. They were very big. They're very great score composers. It was cool they were doing this score. Great soundtrack. If you're a 90s hip hop fan, how we both are. Tribe Called Quest, Old Dirty Bastard, De La Soul. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a great soundtrack. Even a Vanilla Ice reference here and there.
ODB?
ODB?
Oh
no, this
God.
is a great.
ODB.
That's
what's up.
They had the full soundtrack on I think it's on Apple Music and Spotify. The playlist. It's a great playlist, man. You would be proud of this playlist. I was like, you know what? All right, Seth Rogen and team, y'all won the soundtrack for sure because it's a great. I was hearing Shimmy Shimmy Ya. I was hearing I Know by De La Soul. I was hearing Can I Kick It by Tribe Called Quest, and I was like, okay, I can get down with this. I like this a lot. This is a great soundtrack. Kind of Spider-Verse has his own soundtrack too. They do a good job of doing throwback 90s hip hop, and I love that about it. I'm like, good, you sold me on that. I do like it. Kind of feels like a John Hughes movie, like a Ferris Bueller at times, or 16 Candles at time. And I'm like, okay, I for sure kind of get the similar vibe to like Spider-Man Homecoming about like willing to be accepted by society when you have these certain powers. And I was like, okay, I kind of dig the Spider-Man Homecoming, John Hughes vibe to it of like self-discovery, coming of age. I'm like, all right, I'm on board with that. It's definitely better than the last two Michael Bay ones, for sure. No doubt about that. This is definitely a fresh, unique take on it. Yes, an anime or pair live action, but I think they can do a lot more with animation, which is really cool. But again, I think you're kind of limited what you can do with live action, stop motion. But for animated, this one, they did a lot more. They can get away with that more certain colors, certain kind of aspects, or kind of storytelling. You do a lot more with animation, that was really cool about it as well. Good pace for the most part. Hour and a half movie. The pace was very good for the most part. I will say during my con that there was an issue with the third act pacing. Good editing. There's some really good editing for an anime movie. I was like, yo, the editing on this is phenomenal. How like certain shots are being filmed, certain montages, certain kind of like different changes in different scenes. I was like, wow, the editing in this movie is superb. And I don't even watch editing too much, mostly in live action movies, but seeing this, how good the editing was in this movie, I was like, hey, hats off. This is great. Again, Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, I was proven wrong. I think they wrote this movie and produced it with their team at Point Grey. I was proven wrong. I think Seth Rogen, you can tell he's a fan of this franchise. I saw an interview with him a few weeks ago too, saying that he was 8 when the original movies came out. He loved the cartoon. Like the reason why he did karate was with Ninja Turtles. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. So you can tell that him and his team were big fans of this franchise and that they knew that they had to like give this movie justice because they are fans of this IP no matter what. To me, this is kind of their Phil Lord and Chris Miller moment, meaning that Phil Lord and Chris Miller did Lego Movie, Cloudy with Meatballs, and the Spider-Verse movies. They produced my Spider-Verse movies. That is their baby. To me, this is Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg's kind of their moment of like, cool, we're becoming animated producers too. So again, because Phil Lord and Chris Miller also did 21 Jump Street, and we all know Seth and Evan did stuff like Neighbors, This Is the End, Superbad. This is their moment of kind of becoming more producers in animation, kind of expanding their horizons. I'm like, you know what? They're trying something new. I respect it because we all know Slush's Party came out. It was very divisive at times. It's very something that we're like, that kind of came and went, but it was weird. It was different. So they're becoming actual producers of animation. Then they also produced Invincible, which is a great animated show on Amazon Prime. So they're for sure kind of doing great work with comic book and IPs, whether it's The Boys, this, or Invincible, or TMNT. It's cool seeing them kind of span the horizons as producers and creators. I'm like, you know what? They're going for it. Good on them. Okay. Going on to the cons. Okay. I thought about this more too as the week went on. As much as I like the voice acting, I do think there was times where Raph and Mikey were kind of sidelined, where like it's good voice acting, but Mikey didn't seem like Mikey at times. Mikey like, yeah, dude, yeah, pizza, cowabunga. Mikey wasn't like that this time around, and I was like, oh, okay. And I'm not hating on the voice actor. I think he was great voice for Mikey, great voice of Mikey. But there was times where I was like,
writing.
it was a bit of the writing where I'm like, you gotta bring Mikey's the one that's kind of like, yeah, man, haha, like the very over the top goofy. He wasn't that way as much, or not as much in this one, and I'm like, okay. I was like, okay, maybe they're for a reason. And again, it's not spoilers, but there's a certain thing that like Mikey does in every movie that he didn't do at all in this movie. And I was like, huh. And they teased that 2 times. I'm like, yes, here we go. It's the moment. Never happened. I was like, ooh, like that was a big letdown. And like someone in the audience was like, yes, it's that moment. Didn't happen. And I was like, oh, this is a big missed opportunity for a certain thing that Mikey does in every TMNT movie. I was like, all right, I guess maybe it's the next one.
You're lying. don't
I won't spoil.
break my heart
text
here,
you.
bro.
I'll text it after the show. But
no,
there's a
we'll
certain
talk
thing.
about it after the show. But
There's a certain
God,
thing
no.
that we're like, oh no. And I do think that I said this in my athlete reaction. They rushed Bebop and Rocksteady in this movie. I get it. It's mutants, but they're two essential characters for the lore and the history of the whole mythology of TMNT. Yeah, again, Seth Rogen's playing Bebop, and I believe John Cena's playing Rocksteady. They're just thrown in there, crowbarred in there, and I'm like, this would have been cool for a sequel or for another project because they're just there, and they're very important characters. I felt the same way with TMNT 2, the live action remake from 2016, Out of the Shadows. They were thrown in there. They were misused. They looked terrible, and I was like, yeah, y'all should have waited to include Bebop and Rocksteady for sure, because they're really important to the characters whatsoever. So I was like, oh man, like they're there, but I'm like, why are they there? Why do you guys include them? Because they have no purpose to the story whatsoever. So I was like,
they came later on.
Yes, exactly. They came later on in this cartoon. Yes.
In the comic books, in the OG movies, in the cartoon shows, they are later on characters. I understand when people don't want to do the same introduction of certain like characters and stuff like that for, or series that, we all know. But I feel like there's certain things that you shouldn't do, like because you remember when I saw you know what I mean?
Shazam?
Before you. Yeah. And the movie's out. If you haven't seen it,
not too bad.
Spoiler alert, but it's been a long time. Remember when I told you I was like, towards the end, they rushed a certain thing, which was the Shazam family. I was like, they rushed that way too soon. You know what I mean? But they wanted to change things.
For sure.
So, but it's like I think sometimes it's okay to do what basically everyone knows, especially since this movie is garnered towards, the newer generation.
Yep. It's a hard reboot, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it would have been fine if we just had Shredder, or maybe not even Shredder, do what they did with the OG movies, like just, the kids fighting, just random thugs off of the street, and then introduce them to the Foot Clan and making, like a smaller guy that isn't Shredder, like one of the lower guys, like the big bad guy for this right now, and then, sequel, boom, Shredder, and then if you do another one, boom, later on, or, Shredder and like these two characters. That's just me. I don't know how other people will feel about that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm curious to see how people say. Some other reviews last night, people were kind of feeling the same thing I was saying. I was like, yeah, they should have waited for this. And yeah, Ice Cube as Superfly would have been a fine villain on his own. Maybe a few henchmen, like his henchmen. First of all, Paul Rudd is hilarious. He steals the show when he's on. It's hilarious. He plays a modern Gecko. It's something Mondo Gecko. Hilarious, man. He's this really kind of funny accent on and off. It's hilarious. And he kind of steals the show. He's playing like basically the right-hand man of Ice Cube Superfly. And I'm like, this is hilarious. So if they had Ice Cube as Superfly by itself, maybe a few goons here and there, not Bebop and Rocksteady, this would have been great. I'm like, oh, this would have been cool. Very tight. I like it. And I was like, it just, when they added so much different mutants, it kind of felt wasted. Like Rose Byrne is wasted. Post Malone is in it randomly as one of the villains too, and I'm like, what is this? I love Post Malone, but I was like, huh? So he had too many goons that would have been like, oh, it's been cool for a different movie. But like I said, the big issue for me was about Rocksteady because these are really important characters that were just like, yep, they're here. Here we go. And I'm like, oh, y'all should have waited. Y'all should have waited on this. And this could be a slight spoiler. I'll try my best to work around it. They do botch the famous Cowabunga line, and that to me, the big issue I had was the sound. Was the sound mixing. The sound mixing on this to me was really was bothering me because I'm like, wow, like I couldn't even hear the dialogue sometimes. I was like, what? And really, I'm seeing this more and more with different shows, more movies and shows I'm watching too. Is that the sound mixing and dialogue are not mixing well whatsoever. So I was like, geez, I can't hear what they're saying. And during the famous Cowabunga, when they say it, I couldn't even hear it. It was like, what did they say? And it's like super like it's how they shoot it too is it's botched. I was like, oh, they botched this. I was like, okay, you took away one certain thing that Mikey does every movie, and then you botched the famous Cowabunga moment. I was like, oh, this could have been better, guys. This could have been better, or for a different scene, you could use Cowabunga. But I was like, man, that definitely bothered me as a lifelong TMNT fan. And I know this is definitely made for a younger audience, but if you are a TMNT diehard fan that we are, it's going to bother you a bit. 'Cause I was like, wow, they picked at the right time. The sound mixing on that moment was terrible. And like I said, how they shot it with a certain way that shot it, it's just like, why use it there? So I was like, oh man, that to me was a big kind of red flag. I was like, man, sound mixing, fix that. But really, you can't botch the famous Cowabunga moment because it just takes away the specialness of that word and what it means to the turtles. And the other thing too that there's a great message in this movie about acceptance. I love it. It's getting similar stuff like Spider-Man. You know, when he's a kid, like I want to be accepted by society. I want the world to see me as the hero that I am. And all four of them, Raph, Donnie, Leo, and Mikey, they want to be known as the heroes. They want to go to high school. They want to be part of society. And I was really really emotional at times of like, wow, like seeing them just like looking outside the world, seeing a park like a park movie night, watching Ferris Bueller, stuff like that, classic movies, or you know them looking at certain building in NYC, saying, "Oh, I wish we could go to that city. Wish we could go to the city and kind of like just be ourselves, basically." And the movie does me from the beginning, middle, and end do a lot of flashbacks of like, "Ooh, you know, the world isn't ready for you." Splinter keeps telling them, "The world's not ready for you yet. You know, you're not there yet. You're still too young. You still have more training to do." But at the same time, it's just they want to be in the world, so they want to be in high school. They want to be with humans so badly at their age because they want to have friends. They want to see the world. They want to have pizza with friends. I love that, but that third act is rushed. The third act is definitely rushed. I was like, ooh man, they should just slow down a little bit or save this for another movie because things happen too quickly. You're just like, okay, resolved. Boom. Here you go. Here it is. Here's what happened. It's like, yeah, this could have been saved for for another movie or another movie down the line. It just happens too quickly where I was like, man, I get it. I do. But compared to the other movies in the franchise, the Turtle franchise, it's a build-up that's worth it. I think the live-action movies, the TMNT 2007 one, even the live-action Michael Bay ones, I do think that you got to let it cook. Not in the first movie right off the bat. Like, hey, listen, here it is. Boom. It needs to cook. It needs to cook. It needs to like kind of like resonate a little bit before you like, okay, here it is. This is it now. This is the movie. This is the world we live in. It's like, yeah, no, I'm all for it. But for the first movie, you guys rushed it. You rushed the final act and like what happens to them in the movie. And I was like, man, I liked it.
That's not sounding good.
I like what they did. It's not for the first movie. Not for the first movie in the franchise. I was like, man, this is too soon.
Speaking as a fan, I'm guessing you mean like, yeah.
Yeah, it's as a fan of the franchise, a fan of the TMNT, I wish they kind of slow down with certain stuff. Yes, also they say for the post credit scenes, there's a big reveal in the mid credit scene. Again, if the movie does well, there for sure will be a sequel. If it does poorly, we'll see. But I do think that they're gonna do a sequel to this movie. Okay, it's being beloved by critics for sure. We'll see how fans approve of this or not. But I love the message about acceptance and you know being loved by society. But how they handle it at the very end, I was just like, man, it just feels not rough time yet because it's too rushed. It's the first movie of the franchise. Let it cook. Let it resonate with us first, and then build onto it. Because it'll be a better payoff if you waited for a second or third movie. But that's my review of TMNT Mutant Mayhem. I think if you're a fan of the franchise, go see it in the theaters for sure. It's worth a lot of funny moments. The humor is hilarious. Some jokes have me cracking out loud. And there's so many good like pop culture references, whether it's to Drake or John Hughes movies or Ferris Bueller or a certain rap artist. I was like, I love the movie references because it's hilarious. This is like you can tell a lot of love for pop culture and classic movies and classic hip hop. But I just wish the third act was tighter and they waited to introduce some things because I think the payoff would have been better in other movies. But I'm giving this right now a solid 7.5 out of 10. I think it's worth seeing in theaters if you're a TMNT fan. For sure worth seeing. But I do think you'll have some problems with the final act as well as introduction to certain things, as well as what they do with the characters at the end of the movie. But that's my review of TMNT. It's in theaters now. Yeah, it's one of the last movies we have this summer. So if you're curious, go see it. Again, great soundtrack. Again, shout out to Seth Rogen, Point Grey, and his team at Point Grey. But yeah, it's I can't wait to see what happens next. If it does well, great. If not, can't be too surprised. But I do think the animation definitely is gorgeous, and the voice acting is superb, which are the two big MVPs for me. So yeah, guys, check it out. Alrighty, Joe. All right, as we said last night before we started the show, my friend, speaking of TMNT and animation, it is time to rank our top 5 favorite animated movies of all time. I have Nick's as well. Nick's traveling to New York this weekend with his lovely girlfriend Kaylin. So if they travel, Nick, we'll see you next week on the show. So I have his responses that I'll share at the end of the episode. My friend, you do the honors of giving us your top 5 animated movies of all time.
Oof, man, that was such a hard list to do, but I do have them though. Yes. I do. And I feel like a lot of people aren't gonna be expecting every single one of these. But yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. So we're gonna go with what was it? What was the movie called? What was the movie with BMO in it, bro?
BMO?
Not BMO. Baymax.
Oh, Big Hero 6?
Big Hero 6. There we go. Fucking escaped my mind. Anyways,
I never saw
BMO is from Adventure Time. What? You never saw it, bro? Such a good movie.
I own it too. I don't know. I never seen it.
Dude, you own it? You gotta watch it tonight,
I'll watch
bro.
it.
Come on,
I'll watch it.
It's not that long, and it's honestly like a really good animated kid movie, but it's so good. So yeah, Big Hero 6. Howl's Moving Castle. Such a big fan of that. How to Train Your Dragon, Treasure Planet,
nice,
and on Japanese anime movie. I believe it's on Netflix. I suggest you watch it with the Japanese voice actors, but you can watch it in English dub. Will I look at you the same if you do watch it in English dub? No, I won't. I will judge you. But to each their own, like I said. But yeah, it's called A Silent Voice. It is such a beautiful animated movie. If you look into it, you might see a lot of bullshit about it's based on a true story. It's not based on shit. It's based on a manga, right? It's not based on anything. It's an adorable romance movie, but it's also like drama filled because I'll explain it a little bit because everyone knows about all these other movies, obviously. So A Silent Voice is a Japanese anime movie about. It starts when, when these kids are in, elementary school, and there's a transfer student. Well, the transfer student is basically deaf, and she does have hearing aids and everything, and so she starts getting bullied by other kids, mainly the number one popular guy in the class who's very outgoing and everything. And after she leaves and after a lot of shit went down, his friend groups betrayed him and he started getting bullied, and the deaf girl, she left the school. Her parents took her away. And he started introverting and having issues, looking at people in their faces and everything with like depression and everything. And so it goes to him in high school, and he runs back into the girl they used to bully, and so he wanted to apologize to her and make it up, and become friends with her. And it's a really beautiful movie. Cinematography is beautiful, like the animation and everything, not just for the characters, but the scenery in it and just like how they play it out. It's such a beautiful movie. I highly suggest people watch it. I believe it's still on Netflix. It might not be, but you could probably find it somewhere else. I don't know. But yeah, those are my top 5. I love those movies.
Nice. Nice. I gotta watch that one. After I watch Big Hero 6 because I am slacking on that movie. I know.
Bro, you're slacking. I know you would enjoy it. It's a truly enjoyable kid movie.
I know. Isn't Stan Lee in that movie too? Like a little cameo, I heard.
Yeah, he has a cameo at the end after credit. Yeah.
Cute. I gotta watch because I know I love Damon Wayans in it. My boy TJ Miller's in it. My dude. All right, so let's go with mine. Let's go with my list right here. They're not in order, but randomly. Mine's also Treasure Planet because I think you heard us before on the show. You, me, and Nick have expressed our love for that movie so much. It's a beautiful movie, great voice acting. It's just a beautiful movie about discovery and who you are in the world, who are you going to be in the world, what kind of person you're going to be, and the adventure of it is just gorgeous to look at. It's beautiful 2D animation with a little rendering of 3D here and there. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is perfect as John. I had all the toys as a kid growing up at McDonald's. I remember my dad seeing that movie. Him and I saw that at McClure Court in Chicago before AMC River East was ever built. And I was being mesmerized by the screen. I was like, this movie's so special. I love that movie. It's great soundtrack too, great score. It's a perfect animated movie if you ask me. And I hope that they do a 4K restoration of it because I would buy that movie in a heartbeat. And it's sad too that movie was, those animators, directors were just treated so poorly by the producers and the studio and the corporate heads. And it's like they didn't believe in that movie. But when it came out, they just buried it. Go, no, we're not proud of this movie, whatever. But it's a very beloved cult classic as well. So yeah, it's Treasure Planet. Second one is Up. This is my favorite Disney and Pixar movie, if you ask me. I love this movie so much. I'm a huge dog lover. This movie is for all the dog lovers. It's a story about a love, death, life, adventure. Never too old for an adventure, never too old to do certain stuff. And it's beautiful how this movie shot from beginning to end. Of like you see Carl fall in love with Ellie, and I watch it every time. I cry literally every time when we see that opening montage of Carl and Ellie living together. It's just beautiful because you see how happy they were and how sad he became once certain things happened. It's a beautiful movie. The dog name is Doug. I have a bias to that character as well. I remember as a kid, that trailer where he goes, I just met you and I love you. And he goes, squirrel. And as a kid, it was the funniest thing ever. I also laugh at it as a grown ass man. I remember me and Zeta watched it last year for our 1-year anniversary. We're like, she goes, are you crying? I was like, hell yeah, I'm crying. You crying? She goes, yeah. And we were both tearing up, but like, I just love when they meet Doug. It's a special movie, and the score by Michael Giacchino, who's a brilliant composer, did the Batman score, he did the Spider-Man recent trilogy score, the Star Trek score, the Super 8 score. He's a brilliant Ratatouille. He's a brilliant composer. I think he's very slept on as a composer. But things between Carl and Russell, it's really just again, he's kind of the father figure that Russell never had, and kind of like filling into him as a mentor. And the adventure with the bird and Kevin, and it's really a funny movie. The animation is gorgeous, the score is beautiful, and all the dogs, Alpha and Doug, and what goes on and on. It's just a funny movie. It's funny that the guy who voices Doug also directed it and wrote the movie as well. What I love about that.
He's like, I have one condition.
I'm playing Doug.
I'm playing Doug. And I can see why you relate to Doug so much, man.
Doug just loves life, man. That's how that's how I am too. So,
and you're also very annoying, but everyone ends up loving you anyway. No, I'm joking.
Hey, not annoying.
No, he's not annoying. Doug's great. Yeah, both of you.
But yeah, Doug's my favorite, like almost my favorite dog character ever, my favorite Disney character. But I can watch Up all the time, never get old of it. It's a very special place in my heart for that movie. I just love that movie so much. So definitely Up is my second one. It's the one movie I don't have on 4K. And I was so mad. I remember that came out on 4K Steelbook maybe 3 or 4 years ago during when COVID hit. I was like, cool, I'm gonna get on Best Buy. That shit sold out in the minutes. And I was so upset. I was like, no. And effing fucking scalpers and stuff are selling that for like $200 on eBay or Mercari. And I'm like, forget you guys, man. Really $200 for a fucking 4K movie? And I was like, so one day I'll add that to my collection when I can, because it's a really cool steelbook of like the 2D art with the house and the balloons. So that's my goal one day, is get the Up 4K steelbooks. I'm a still collector of my physical media, so that's what I need in my collection. Number
A little fun fact, by the way, not about the movie. I actually have a keychain of Up with like the little balloon.
I'm so jealous of that too.
I got that as a gift a few years ago
from
my homie Kelsey when I was in Philly. Not Philly, Pittsburgh.
Yep. It's a dope ass keychain. I love that one.
I still have it, dude. I love it. And I feel like I should start explaining my movie choices because you're going detail.
Oh, dude, I have sentimental. Yeah, of course. I have sentimental value in all these movies. My third one, I think, is the best of the 4 movies. Is Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 is a dope ass movie from the beginning, where he's on the planet, Buzz on the planet with Zurg, and the whole story of like when he gets kidnapped, he's a toy, and then him meeting Jesse and Stinky Pete and Bullseye, and guy who plays Al, Jason Alexander, who was in Space Jam, and he's Newman in Seinfeld, and he's in Jurassic Park, is perfect casting to a T as Al in that movie. But I love the stuff with Al's Toy Barn. I love when they meet coked out Buzz with the Infinity Belt, whatever. The whole stuff in the Al's Toy Barn is hilarious with the Jurassic Park reference, or like when they're crashing the things, whatever, and then they unlock Zurg. I think the voice acting movie is phenomenal, but the storyline is so intriguing. And I love all Toy Story movies, but 2 to me, I just love watching it over and over again, because stuff in the airport when they're chasing Woody, and when they're in the luggage container or whatever, luggage like factory, whatever, shipping, whatever, and then they go on the plane. It's a funny story because Woody also kind of discovers who he is, because he was Andy's number one for a while. Then Buzz came in, then Buzz and him became best friends. And he was always Woody's number. It was always Andy's number one, but in this one, he's just about like, hey, like who really am I? Because he's all his life, he's like, we don't know where he came from or his background. Kind of like as a little self-discovery moment as well of like, wow, I was the shit back in the day, but time goes on. Westerns aren't cool anymore. Sci-fi is cool. Buzz Lightyear is cool. What's gonna be next? It's a really cool commentary of like how the era's change of stuff, in pop culture, whether it's science fiction or westerns or not superheroes or whatever, that we will always see a new generation of certain things that the pop culture zeitgeist. So I love that. Again, great voice acting, but the whole Alice Toy Barn's great. And the thing with Zurg is really funny. There's a great moment too where they fucking hijack the car, the Pizza Planet car, and they're driving to the fucking airport, and they're going crazy, or whatever. And you see the Ham is reading the manual. He goes, boy, his mileage on this did not add up. And it's so funny as an adult. You're like, this is hilarious, because it's like things we didn't get as a kid is like over our heads. And you watch it as an adult, you're like, this is hilarious. So I love Toy Story 2 for that. Number 4 is Isle of Dogs. I love this movie so much. I'm not the biggest Wes Anderson fan. If you heard my review for Asteroid City a few episodes ago, I have a love-hate with Wes Anderson movies. I think he's a great filmmaker. I think he's great performances, but I don't know, some of his movies kind of feel flat to me, are very just boring AF. So I'm like, yeah, that's not for me. But for some reason, his animated movies always kind of stick out to me the most. Whether it's I'm a big sucker for stop motion animation. I love stop motion so much. My favorite form of animation. Great voice acting through and through. But Isle of Dogs is kind of like set in I think it's Japan, where the city mayor, or president of Japan, whatever, he banishes all dogs from the city, and they're forced to live exile on this island, which is like dirt and trash, whatever. And every dog has to like fend for themselves. And it's about these five dogs. Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, oh my gosh, Bill Murray, Jeff Goldblum, and the fifth guy, I'm blanking on his name. They encounter a young boy who is looking for his dog Spots on this island, and they go on a journey to find his fellow dog. And they cover like dogs that are like kind of like hate being there. The dogs are kind of psyched out because they miss their owners too. And it's a really great, again, the voice acting is hilarious, is great. Great score, great. Again, I love stop motion so much. But it's a really beautiful story. Again, if you're a dog lover too, you're going to love this movie. And as a dog lover, my parents have 2 dogs. I love dogs so much. So it's for sure a movie that's stuck with me so well. But really, the animation is gorgeous, man. It's a gorgeous animated movie. I love stop motion so much. But it's about really about like why we love dogs, why dogs are important to society, even though when some crazy person tries to banish them and likes cats instead, these dogs still kind of just like have really importance. They still miss their owners. They still miss being part of society. So it's just a really great story overall, and one of my favorite Wes Anderson movie. All right, number 5 is also a Wes Anderson movie. Another animated movie is Fantastic Mr. Fox. This movie rules. I remember as a kid, I was cracking up. I watched it a few years ago. I was still cracking up. I just bought it on Blu-ray the other day. It comes in the mail next week. I cannot wait to watch it on Blu-ray. This movie is hysterical. Everyone's casted perfect to a T. George Clooney, Meryl Streep, Owen Wilson, Jason Schwartzman, Bill Murray, Owen Wilson. The list goes on and on. It's hilarious. And there's so much charisma and charm to this movie for a stop-motion animation as well. Again, for some reason, his movies as director, Wes Anderson, has kind of connects more with me as animation than he does with his live-action movies. But like, again, Mr. Fox is kind of like this really charismatic guy. They all live underground, but he's realizing that like his lands might be torn up by these kind of developers that want to like develop buildings and factories on this land. So he needs to like him and his group of different animals need to like kind of like stand up against these humans because their home is about to be destroyed. So it's a very quirky, very kind of like giddy kind of movie. But again, Bill Murray, George Clooney, Jason Schwartzman, Willem Dafoe, Owen Wilson, really, the list goes on and on. There are just some hilarious performances, and the jokes make me laugh so hard. I don't know what it is about this movie. And it's based off the book by Ronald Dahl, who did, Roland Dahl, sorry, who did Willy Wonka, Charlie and Chocolate Factory. The list goes on and on. Matilda. Really just like, it's a really movie about imagination too. And this is kind of like when stop motion was still kind of like in its prime, but it was kind of phasing out because of 3D animation and stuff like Pixar was kind of taking over. But I give Anderson a lot of props for doing stuff that's like unique and out of the ordinary and a great story to it, great animation, great voice acting. And I don't know, both his movies as animation just really stuck with me the most. And I'm probably own Isle of Dogs, and I can't wait to own Mr. Fox on Blu-ray because it's really just 2 great movies that have great dialogue and great characters that you can relate to, even though they're all animals. So those are my top 5 animated movies of all time. But my friend, before we do Nick's, you want to explain yours real quick?
Yeah, sure. So everyone knows why I love Treasure Planet, so I'm not gonna go too deep into that. But everything about like I'm a giant nerd, and I have been a nerd since I was young. I grew up on not only cartoons, but like anime as well. So like Japanese anime, Ghibli studios, like animated films, Disney. Like I grew up on a lot of these. So, I truly do thoroughly enjoy anime movies more than just normal movies. So, with Treasure Planet, it's an obvious. I've gone a rant about it. We've talked about it a lot. The writing's good, the animation's beautiful, like the scenery for the animation. It's such a creative thing, original thing as well, and just overall, it's just a lovable, just a movie you can thoroughly enjoy. How's Moving Castle? It's Studio Ghibli movie that is known throughout the years, right behind Spirited Away and what is it, My Friend Totoro. It's you can't beat Studio Ghibli like animations because they have such original like anime concepts. You know what I mean? And the story for these movies is very like unique. Like from the very get-go, when they decide to introduce you into the movie where like, all right, this is what it's going to be about, it draws you in where you have to sit and watch and you love it so much. And all the characters, even the villains, are all characters that you can truly thoroughly love. You know what I mean? Sometimes, not in every single. Some enemies are just like, fuck that guy or girl or person, or thing. and just thoroughly love it. Um, I had a hard time picking between Howl's Moving Castle and Spirited Away because they're both such amazing movies. I love them both thoroughly. If you have Max, just go Studio Ghibli, pick a random movie and watch those movies because they're so good. But yeah, it's such a great movie to watch, and I think it just has such a beautiful message and just beautiful atmosphere about it. Big Hero 6, man, I am my nephew Amani, who is now, by the way, a teenager. That man has 2 more years
That's
of high school.
crazy.
2 more years of high school. That means he's a fucking junior when the school year starts, my guy. Fucking insane. But when he was younger, right? Big Hero 6 came out. I'm feeling old. Big Hero 6 came out, and he was so obsessed with it. I used to watch it with him all the time. I really did love that movie. So basically, what the movie is about is this young kid who lives with his aunt and his brother. They're both very smart. His brother's in college, and he's probably like middle school, somewhere around like like 7th, 8th grade, maybe. Yeah, 7th, 8th grade, probably. I don't really know. But they're both really smart, and they lost their parents when they were younger, and so they live with their aunt. And so his brother, he's super smart, where he built a robot, and they do like illegal like robot fighting. And he got in trouble, and his brother saved him, and so to make sure he doesn't do it again, he invites him to his college, where him and his friends, the older brother, him and his friends make robots and like try and make things better for the world. And so he has his little brother enter the competition, and during the competition, like when they're judging and everything, a fire goes off, and the brother runs back in to save the professor, and the building blows up, and the brother and professor die. And the older brother's project survived, and he wanted to investigate what probably happened to his brother, and he has the help of this robot called Baymax, which is basically like a nurse bot, that helps, like knows medical shit, gives you a band-aid, tells you like, oh, your body heat, blah blah blah. And so with the help of the robot, he's investigating what possibly happened. And he found out that a guy took his project, the little brother's project, that he entered for a competition, which was nanobots, and he's like using it. And so the little brother decided to make Baymax a superhero, and his brother's friends start helping him to figure out who this person is and why they did what they did. And yeah, so it's a beautiful movie, really funny, like just lots of giggles, and I think you'll love it. Fuck. I'm winded. I'm trying to explain this in great detail, What else? Oh right. Who fucking doesn't love How to Train Your Dragon? That whole series is fucking adorable shit. From
hell
the
yeah.
music, dude, Toothless, bro, a badass dragon with no teeth. It's like, oh god, I love it. I'm trying to eventually buy myself a onesie with Toothless. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, but it's such a great movie. And what's the guy's name? Jay something?
Jay Baruchel?
Jay Baruchel. He. I feel like I feel like no one else could have done Hiccup except him. He does these characters that just you thoroughly love, and it's this movie about a guy who feels out of place within his own people, and he feels like, and his people make him feel like out of place, and I feel like, for me personally, like that is something I truly connected with, where it's like you don't feel like you belong and you feel like you're meant for something different, but you try so hard to fit in. And then he met Toothless, which is a dragon, because he's a Viking, and they kill dragons, and they're killing dragons. But he meets Toothless, one of the most mysterious dragons, and has basically a big bounty on his head. He meets it, and he couldn't kill him, so he sets him free. But Toothless loses a tail, and he can't fly away, so he's stuck in this little area. So, Hiccup, being curious, goes and learns more and more and more about dragons, slowly trying to get close to Toothless to, truly be close to him and, see him up close. And it's just overall such a great movie. All the voice actors are great in it. The animation, every single one of How to Train Your Dragon movies is great. I highly recommend you watch them. Is that all four that I didn't explain?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's all four.
And I'm
sorry to the listeners. That was very winded explanations. And two, it's not the greatest. I'm not the best at explaining certain things. I'm very sorry about that. But hopefully you understood, and hopefully you want to check them out.
Where do you get off?
Where do you get off?
No, you're great, man. Let me get Nick's. Nick wrote a lot. I'll make sure that I want to clear everything goes. All right. This is from Nick. The man, the myth, the legend, Nicholas Johnson. Here we go. Top 5. He goes, here we go. The Lion King. Classic and timeless tale of essentially a boy finding himself, learning, remembering who he truly is, and maturing into manhood. The story of maturation from youth to adulthood is a universal one, which is probably why it's also resonated with me. And it's so funny too, because elements of the story can be seen in many stories and mythologies like Hamlet, Man of Steel. Man of Steel. Well done, man. You got the young boy visited or haunted by the ghost of his father, who was killed by his uncle or uncle-like figure, who then essentially has to avenge his father, and in doing so achieves ultimate self-realization. This film stuck with me ever since I was a kid. It was fun, scary, fucking dope soundtrack, and list goes on and on. Here we go. All-Star Superman, December 2. Speaking of Superman, this animated film was based on the comic of the same name, written by Grant Morrison. The film, in my eyes, is Superman mythology in its truest form: bright, hopeful, and classic Superman. Basic premise is Superman learns that he's dying. His cells at some point were exposed to too much yellow solar radiation, and all that energy causes his cells to burst from within. So while he's more powerful than ever, he's been, his body is also breaking down, and there seems to be no way to save him. However, as grim as this might sound, the film itself is actually rather inspiring and hopeful, because with his last days, Superman does everything he can to make amends and say his goodbyes and inspire the people around him, even his own enemies, to be heroes in their own right. Like I said, the film is a classic Superman mythology and has all the elements of Superman that people know and love: crazy outlandish sci-fi adventures, lovable characters, grand heroics, and above all, the message about much of that hope can and should shine through even in our darkest days. This man's a good writer. 3 for 3, all three of us. Treasure Planet is number 3. Look at all of us having Treasure Planet in our top 5. Treasure Planet, a highly underrated anime sci-fi retelling of Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. Treasure Planet follows young Jim Hawkins as he travels the cosmos and searches for Treasure Planet and the loot of 1,000 worlds. It is incredibly imaginative, fun, and heartfelt story that I feel is often overlooked. Amen, brother. Look at all 3 of us having Treasure Planet, man. I'm very proud of us for that. Okay, number 4, The Road to El Dorado. Another childhood classic from DreamWorks Animation.
Oh my god!
That follows.
I love that movie. I forgot about
Me too.
Oh, dude, so good, so good. All right, keep going.
That follows thieves from The Road to El Dorado, another childhood classic from DreamWorks Animation that follows thieves from Ancient, Tulio and Miguel, played by Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh. Oh, I forgot that. Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh, respectively, as they find the map to El Dorado and the City of Gold. Once they get there, they are mistaken by the inhabitants of El Dorado as gods, and thus the comedy ensues. As the tagline for this film states, they came for the goal, here for the adventure. This film also has a great soundtrack, great music by Elton John. That's right. That I can and Loki have been ever since. Loki, that I can and Loki have been ever since I saw the film as a child. Listen on repeat. Definitely a great watch. I haven't seen the movie in so long, man. It's been a minute. Oh, this is a cute one. He picked up number 5. Number 5, a Goofy movie. It's a great movie. Last but not least, last but not most certainly not least on my list is the Goofy movie. This is an animated Disney film that follows Disney character Goofy and his son Max as they go on a father and son road trip across the country and butt heads. Max, your typical teen that wants to impress the girl and be cool and popular at school, with his friends, and Goofy as well. Goofy, quote unquote, pun entirely intended. Great family comedy with fun music as well. Another childhood favorite. This film never gets old. All right, Nick, that's a great top 5, man. This man really has some good top 5 animated movies. We all did. There's a funny episode of Atlanta. I won't give too much away. It was the last season of Atlanta. I think it was season 4 of Atlanta. Where they do a whole fake mockumentary about the Goofy movie, and it's hilarious. It's super funny. Atlanta's a show by Donald Glover, that one of my favorite shows of all time. And it was kind of mockumentary, kind of like fake retelling of this guy who inspired the Goofy movie. It's all fake, but it's really how they filmed it. It's brilliant and it's genius because you kind of feel like it's like a real movie, like a real documentary. It's on Hulu. If you watch the show first, but if you're on season 4 of Atlanta, watch the Goofy movie episode. It's hilarious because it's so random. And it's not like part of the show whatsoever. It's very off, kind of different, kind of like non-linear storytelling. It's hilarious. So recommend that. But yeah, Goofy movie, man, is so good. I love that movie as well. But all right, Nick, thank you for sending those top 5, my friend. Again, safe travels to New York.
Great, honestly.
Great, dude. Nick, safe travels to New York, my friend. We'll see you next week. All righty, my friend. Do you want to take us home? Should we just still do our one-on-ones of the week?
No, because I feel like the 5 would give, because I feel like at 5, there's movies in there that made them, movies that people probably haven't seen or heard of. Sure. So I feel like like we're good with the 5.
That can hold you over in the meantime.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. All right, my friend. You want to take us home?
Yeah, but I don't want to end this as normal. I do want to say something.
Of course.
Because recently, the other day actually, the other day an actor passed away.
Oh yeah.
I'm not good with names. Doug, can you help me out here?
Angus Cloud, man, who played Fesco in Euphoria.
Yeah, who was an amazing actor, really young, around our age, my age specifically. He passed away from a drug overdose, possibly suicide. And I wanted just to reach out to the community and anybody who listens. Life is very hard, and as a person who has struggled with, depression and suicide thoughts, and who's even attempted to take his own life on several occasions throughout my life, I just wanted you guys to know that there's always help out there to, get yourself treated, and there's always a better option than taking your own life, because, if you lose somebody or just life isn't going well, that's only momentary. Everything's momentary. Happiness, sadness, everything is very momentary. So you guys just, keep your head up and just talk to the people in your life. And there's always, someone out there who's willing to help you, your death isn't nothing. People won't just move on. Without you in this world, there's someone that's going to be insanely hurt by that loss. So, even if you can't talk to your family, there are therapists. There is a way to get help. So, just don't take your own life. was
Oh yeah. Definitely watch our episode if you haven't listened to our episode yet. Listen to our episode. I think episode number 17. I could be mistaken, with Jordan, our good friend Jordan.
Yeah.
That episode was a full conversation about mental health and the importance of checking on your friends. Yeah, if you listen to it, yeah, I believe it was episode number 17, which was on May. We had a very almost an hour conversation about mental health and the importance of checking on your friends and calling on people. Like, hey, you good? How's it going? It's even a small hello, hey, how's it going? Goes a long way. It's a really beautiful episode that all you, me, Joel, myself, Nick, and Jordan talk about, and it's really important that you should listen to the episode because it's a very special episode. It's very different from the other episodes of our podcast, but it's definitely one to listen to and reflect on because, like Joel said, life is too short. It's sad that he was 25. He's my age, man, and it's very sad that 25 he's gone too soon. I mean, we don't know the full details of what happened yet. We'll probably find out shortly, maybe the next coming week or so. But yeah, man, it's sad that at 25 he had a lot more to do, a lot more to offer. And like I said, what Joel said too, it's really important that you call your friends, call your family members. Hey, how's it going? Send an email, or send a quick Snapchat, whatever, because you never know what the people are going through, and that little hello might go a long way, or might even make their week or month or even year. So remember, you're never alone. You always people that care about you and love you. And there's so many resources that you can call or check into. That you're not alone in this whatsoever. And I think it's important to remember that every day of your life.
Yeah, and if you guys, if you guys truly do struggle and you do need to call somebody that's not your family, you can always call 988, which is a suicide and crisis lifeline. Just reach out, just talk to somebody. But we care, so we want you guys to stay here as long as we're here, from people who truly understand how that is. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, to let you guys know that we care about you and everything, and since it is a current and fresh topic, I just wanted to bring that into our podcast, a serious moment that's different from usual. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. I'll close this out now. All right. Thank you guys for coming along our auditorial journey through our opinions, thoughts, reviews, and crazy constant rambling that would probably end us up in the loony bin eventually. We thoroughly thank you guys for constantly coming back and listening to us and giving us, helping us spread our passion to want to just talk about what we truly love. We hope to see you guys, girls, people back with us next week, and episode after that, and after that, and after that, and maybe even new people. Hi, welcome, bye. But yes, thank you for being here. We love you guys. We truly do love you. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to continue pursuing what we're pursuing right now. And tell someone you love them. Hug somebody or ask somebody to hug you. It's fine. And hope you have a good day, a good evening, a good night, and a good weekend. All right. Thank y'all. Love y'all. Deuces.